I mean, there's outdoor pursuits, and then there's gardening.
What's wrong with gardening? I've never understood this. You constantly call me an old man, and I have absolutely no idea why.
You garden. You go to bed at like 9:30.
I'm still trying to see a point.
You're an old man. Like,
I enjoy sleep.
I do too.
Yeah, but you're practically nocturnal at this point. I don't know, dude.
Still get 8 hours.
Yeah, well, doesn't really count, does it? I like to sleep. I always have to be up early in the morning because I have people I work with that don't understand the concept of work start hours. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, given lockdown, I can't really be like, I'm going to go out to a pub and stay up until 12 o'clock at night. So, I mean, it gets to 10 o'clock and I kind of go, well, don't really know what else I can do with this. I like gardening. I don't know why you don't like gardening.
It's tedious, boring.
It's not tedious. It requires patience, understanding. It's
Understanding what?
Nurturing for the soul. I don't think I didn't notice you hit the record button.
I did.
And before you hit the record button, I was going to have a conversation with you, but now I'll just have this conversation on air. It's Guy Fawkes night tonight.
No, that was yesterday.
Oh, in the UK, yes, it is on a Thursday. But as most people work, it is often traditional that most places then do it on a Friday night. But now, as I live across the road, and I'm not doxing myself here because you don't know, people won't know exactly where this is. I live within a mile of the Police, Fire and Rescue Service Academy in Stevenage. Now, these guys have thought it'd be nice, and what they're doing over the next couple of hours is doing a fireworks safety thing, which involves setting off a lot of fireworks. So I just want to preface into our listeners, I haven't moved to an active war zone. I am under attack. I just happen to live near somewhere where they're launching a lot of fireworks.
See, if you hadn't have said anything, then it would be even more interesting just to hear random explosions go off.
Well, yeah, but my concern is if one of those fireworks, as they do, comes back to Earth with the stick, if the stick lands on my roof, I'm going to crap my pants. And it's also, I keep getting lulled into a false sense of security because it'll be like they'll launch like 4 rockets and then they'll be like, have a little discussion about, the safe way of launching them and all this kind of stuff. And then like the pub down the road will launch some. And then he's got, like, no one will do anything for half an hour. I had a horrible moment earlier where I stood at the window and watched them and did the same thing that every person over the age of about 10 does when they watch fireworks. It's just put a beer in my hand and go, ooh. Ooh.
Lights go boom.
And then I said, I was missing this. So I walked into the other room and went, Belle, come and have a look. At which point they stopped.
Good.
And then Belle got bored and walked back in the other room, at which point they started again.
Well, there won't be fireworks next week, but we wish Belle better luck next week so that she can see the photos. Well, what photos? Fireworks.
Again, on the subject.
Maybe, are you taking photos of the fireworks so that she can see them? Probably not.
Why do
I don't know.
Fireworks. Explain that to me.
There's no point of taking photos of explodey lights in the air that you'll see at least 5 times a year.
Also, I've never really understood the benefit of paying to go and watch a fireworks thing.
Have you ever paid to? I've never paid.
This was always the argument in the village I used to live in. So there's a pub in the village I used to live in called the Golden Arms or something like that. And effectively, it's a pub, but behind it they've got a 2 massive fields. One of which is a farmer's field, and the other one they rent to people in touring caravans. So you can drive to this little village on your way, park up for the night, have a nice dinner in a pub, and then move on. Go on the next day. But what they do over the course of the year is any little bit of change or anything like that. When you pay for your pint, let's say your pint was £2.70 and you got £3 and you give them £3. They say, can we round that up to a square pound and put it in the pot? And what they do is over the course of the year, most people, including me, don't want change in their pocket. So they'll just put all this money into a thing. And then they go down to this fireworks place and buy a ton of fireworks. To a point where the owner of the place gets to a point where, like, you know, they got all the normal ones and all that kind of stuff and everything like that. But every year he was trying to one-up himself with a rocket. So the
really big ones.
The first year, no, it's the finale rocket.
Yeah.
The first year, he put it above the bar and it was about the same size, about 1 meter long. Got to a point after about 15 years of doing this where he couldn't fit it on the bar. So that's all well and good, and I understand, and I would very happily over the course of the year chuck a bit of money in. But then what they would do on fireworks night, normally the Friday, was, they'd open the bar up so you could buy pints to go and watch it. They'd get loads of pallets and, create a big bonfire, and some food trucks would turn up and stuff like that. And you would get charged £5 to go in. Now, I have no problem with that. Fine. But if you sit basically anywhere in the village, because the village is only about 200 metres round in a circle is where everyone is. If you sit in your garden, because these fireworks are being launched about 300 feet up in the air, everyone in the village can watch them for free.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with most fireworks of some commercial size, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't notice any fireworks here last night. I don't know if there'll be any fireworks tonight in Canada, but I mean, remember the 5th of November, and it's the 6th, so I don't know.
Well, I don't. Also, your country doesn't often celebrate someone that tried to blow up politicians, which I think is a weird holiday for the British people to have, because
it depends on. I think it depends on who they're blowing up, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, but you're having a celebration of a man that did try and blow up Parliament. That was what he was trying to do.
But he got stopped, right? Like, I thought the whole celebration was that he got stopped. Isn't that what the whole V for Vendetta movie's about?
No.
Natalie Portman and what's this, Hugo Weaving?
I never watched that movie. I always understood it of celebrating the man.
I saw it once, a long time ago.
I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. The other thing.
Yeah, you want to talk about F1 now?
No, let's not go there. The other thing I was going to say before you decided that, just to start the podcast was normally before the podcast, me and Jared have a little meeting, 5-10 minutes, about what we're going to talk about. Now, normally we go through the Formula One and what we're going to talk about, and then we go through the NFL, what we're going to talk about. But he's gone renegade on this one. So,
well, realistically, how many games were that interesting this past weekend?
Look, if you're going to come into this podcast with valid points and think about things, it completely ruins the idea of why we do this. All right, let's talk about Formula One then. Go on.
Right. Well, actually, before we do that, I do have to address something. We talked about it last week, but we didn't talk about it properly. And so I went back and I cut it from the podcast and re-uploaded. We had discussed the situation that's blown up over the past few weeks about the draft pick of the Arizona Coyotes, former now draft pick of the Arizona Coyotes, Mitchell Miller. And I think we didn't necessarily address it correctly because I think we were a little behind the ball, perhaps, with just. We were a bit like the Arizona Coyotes, to be honest. Didn't quite have all the facts. And I mean, it blows my mind, to be honest, that this came out when it did, because the NHL draft was at the beginning of October, and this didn't really start to blow up until the end of October. And I wonder almost if the mother of this boy who Miller and his friend terrorized for 4 years plus, hadn't written this letter would this have ever come to light? You know, it's unfortunate because the friend of Miller, whose name we don't really seem to care as much about, and the reason is because he has receipts. He went back, apologized to this kid, has actively tried to amend the damage that he has done with the kid, with the community, with the, what's the word I'm trying to say? The minority communities that he's affected. This kid was a young kid of color with a developmental disability. So that's two communities that these two kids affected, and the friend has tried to actively.
He's made a conceited effort to rectify his mistake.
Exactly, and Mitchell Miller has done no such thing. In fact, he apologized to the 31 NHL teams before apologizing to the kid that he terrorized. Like the reason that this is happening, he still hasn't reached even, I don't know. I mean, it just blows my mind to see someone so enabled by the people around him as well. Like if you were the father of this kid, and this kid came home or went to court, because this went to court, and said, "Oh, Dad, I've got to go to court today because I've been terrorizing this black kid with a developmental disability." Like how would you handle that? Because I mean, I know for me, that's it. Like, I'm sorry, you don't get to play hockey again until you've made amends.
Yeah,
you don't get to do the thing that you have fun doing until you sort yourself out.
Yeah, I think to me it's a fundamental failing on multiple accounts. I mean, I'm not trying to justify anything and never understand that away. Me and Jared obviously have a conversation about it. Jared did call me, and we decided that this would be cut from the podcast because we are just two guys making a podcast, and we kind of, if we're honest, the whole purpose of this podcast was to talk absolute bollocks that we don't understand anything about. But we were able to find out, and we were able to find out these things, and we were able to find out that it was wrong. I mean, it didn't take me long. It was 20 minutes of Googling between the two of us. So the fact that a professional hockey team employing a professional player didn't know, I completely disagree with that.
Well, employing multiple professional scouts that are responsible for not only knowing these things, but then actively finding out if anything's been done about them.
Yeah, I mean, actively finding out. As we said before, all these teams have got PIs. They dig. You don't make a couple of £1 million investment into a kid without doing your due diligence. So I think there needs to be a serious look into. I think at this point, the kid, what happens with him happens with him. I think he's made his bed and he's going to be forced to lie in it, and I think that's the right thing to happen. I think he needs to make a conceited effort, and then maybe he can make a way back. If that doesn't happen, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I think it will be a loss for him personally, but it's not going to be a loss for the sport, I don't think. But the team that drafted him need to have a deep look into, how this happened and what this happened and stuff like that. Because
and the issue is that the Arizona Coyotes have already been penalized multiple high draft picks over the next couple years for inviting prospects to train and work out with them before they've been drafted, which is illegal. So they were investigating certain prospects too much to the point where they were penalized, but then didn't investigate this kid enough. And even when they did, it just kind of went, oh, well, sweep that under the rug. Look at this high-end talent in the fourth round. We'll take that.
Woohoo. it almost seems as if they can't get it right. Any sport, to be honest.
Yeah. Arizona, it's a little.
Well, not even Arizona. I mean, the sports. There is always going to be a fundamental failing when you have a kid, no matter who that kid is. You know, unless that kid is very wise beyond their years and puts the right amount of money around them, they're going to have problems. I was listening to a podcast I think I suggest you listen to with Chris Harris, and he had a conversation with Jenson Button. Jenson Button said that before he got into Formula One, the biggest paycheck he'd ever received at a time was £15,000. Now, at that time, he was under the age of 18, which meant that his parents still had a controlling interest in his finances. When he signed his first, contract in Formula One, he said that by the end of the week, not by the end of the year, by the end of the week, he'd spent it all.
Holy cow.
I definitely recommend our listeners to listen to the podcast because Button is very honest. His first 5 years in Formula One, at the end of it, I mean, he had assets, he had homes and boats and cars, but in the bank account, money that he could physically draw on, he was net zero.
It does happen, right? But
I think there's always going to be an understanding. I think after they got drafted, I think if you turned around to me and Jared, and I think if you honestly if we looked ourselves in the mirror, we'll both admit this. If you turned around to me tomorrow and went, "You're now a professional athlete. You've got thousands of women in your DMs offering all kinds of things up easily because that's what happened. You've got more money than you can shake a stick at. You know, you've got unlimited opportunities. You've got everyone telling you're amazing, and you've got the money. Like the most limiting factor on why I don't end up doing some stupid things is because I don't have the financial backing to do it.
Mm.
Now, give me that financial backing and looking at the failures I'd made. Right? And I'm a 25-year-old adult. That's a strong word, adult.
It is.
So I think we do need to look at, that sometimes these players are going to make mistakes. But, if you look at the NFL last year with, I think it was Kareem Hunt or something like that. No, not Kareem Hunt.
Well, there was a whole issue with Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, there was an issue with Kareem Hunt. But there was an issue with another player and his girlfriend. Effectively, he had an ex-girlfriend who the police department in that state had interviewed her and interviewed him and interviewed the people around. And the police department in that state have went, there's no evidence linking him. It's his word against hers. And he's got 2 alibis and she isn't a poor, she's a poor witness. And we've actually got proof that she's lied to the police on earlier occasions. But even though the police in that state went, no, we can't charge him with anything, he's not done anything wrong, the NFL went, actually, do you know what? We're going to ban him for 6 games. That, to me, is too far the other way. Because if the police turn around and went, you haven't done anything, to me, the NFL can't really go, oh, well, no, we've done our own investigation, even though we can't try him with anything, he's done something. That's too far the other way, because really, in reality, there is a little bit of an element of these. I mean, it happens in all sports, but the guy at the top kind of not having any form of oversight. I mean, Roger Goodell does it all the time. This player's done that. Oh, well, 6-game ban. What for?
I do find the NFL does do a bit of an overcorrection in some respects, and then under penalizes people that actually deserve it. It's all over the place in the NFL.
But then, you have the same thing in the NHL. You had a player, I can't remember his name recently, that, we were talking about, who just got into a bar fight and punched someone in the face, which I think as a professional athlete, you can't do. Because I think if you're a hockey player and you're 0% body fat and all you do all week, all day is lift weights so that when you can hit someone that's in another hockey ring, you impact the injury. When you punch Phil at the bar, that's a problem. Because
remember when Conor McGregor did that too?
Yeah.
He just socked some Jerry in a bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, you do this. You knock people out for a living. That poor man.
Yeah, that's not okay.
No.
But there needs to be a down the line. You can't let teams get away with the stuff that Tampa have, but then it's also not okay that the players don't really have any, form of fight back when actually, the things that they've done are a bit.
And that happens.
Yeah.
This situation is, Gavin's not applying this logic to this situation.
No. Yeah. My point. Yeah, my point was that this one's kind of this way over the line, and this one's this way over the line. Like in one situation, you've got a sport going way too deep with their investigation. Not way too deep, but going way past the line with their investigation when other people have said actually no. But then you've got this other side where they haven't gone far enough. That's where we need a middle line.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
We do. And I don't understand what Arizona as an organization has been thinking recently. They got new ownership, new GM, a bunch of new stuff, and the problems are still there. Like
I think sometimes the problem is with management, not even with management, with owners.
Well, they've got new owners.
No,
and it's still it's still problematic. This team doesn't make money. They don't have very many fans. So and then they keep doing dumb shit like this.
I'm just going to point out a fundamental flaw.
Hockey in Arizona?
Yeah. Isn't a fundamental point of a sport, right? We have a football team in Stevenage because do you know what? I could go outside right now with a ball and play football.
Because there's grass.
Yeah, because there's grass. We have a rugby team. The sports around here are kind of based on the sports that the people around here do. Try and play hockey in Arizona. Because I guarantee you that there's not there's not someone in Arizona that you walk into, apart from the professional hockey players that are forced to live there, there's not a person. Yeah, there's not like the population that enjoy hockey, probably quite low.
Maybe low.
And like, put it in Toronto, probably do quite well. Because
they do.
Yeah, they do.
They're the second, if not most profitable team in the NHL.
Yeah, put it in Arizona.
Bottom five.
But
the thing is, as we guide this subject to something a little bit lighter, because I think we've covered that well enough. Just to wrap it up, Mitchell Miller's been dropped by everybody: the U.S. development team, his university team, everybody. So he has his work to do. I think we all understand what his work is to do, and if he does it, maybe he'll be given another chance.
But he needs to do it not because it can't be a situation, and I know we've got to move on, but it can't be a situation where a team turns around to him and goes, if you do this, this, and this, you'll be on the team.
Right.
He needs to do it, and then those situations need to come.
And so far, it's been what you said first. It's, I've been caught. I need to make amends because I've been caught, not because I'm actually sorry about it.
Yeah.
And so that's the direction that this kid needs to take. And I would say that's the direction that everyone needs to take if they've done something that they regret, or that, maybe take some time in this quarantine as we continue with it to reflect for a moment on maybe somebody that you've wronged or something like that, and see what you might be able to do about it if you'd like.
Are you trying to make a point about all the times that I made you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go for a gym session?
No, because that was useful for me in the end. But as we transition out of this Arizona thingy, it's unfortunate because the logic now for the Arizona Coyotes existing forever is that one of the stars on the Toronto Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews, is from Glendale, or that area of Arizona where the Coyotes play. And so and his dad is quoted by saying, if it weren't for the Arizona Coyotes, Austin would not be playing hockey. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, they're going to exist there forever now. That's it. It's over. They're not moving now. So, anyways, Formula One.
Yeah.
Took us a while to get there, but we've made it. There was a Grand Prix last weekend. It was in Italy, the Emilia Romagna, and I actually did okay on the prediction of who would be on the podium. I was 2 for 3.
I did not,
to be honest. So I get 4 points because Hamilton came first. And then who came second again? I've lost it again.
Bottas.
Was it really Bottas? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was Bottas.
It's pretty boring again, wasn't it? Like, all we needed is Verstappen to come third, and it would have just been the same result that we've all expected.
It's kind of a...
But Verstappen did not come third, nor did he come second. He wasn't even close to the podium because Daniel Ricciardo came third, and I had Ricciardo third as well. So that's why I get 4 points.
I understand the scoring system, Jared. I'm well aware of it.
I'm just making sure that you know that I beat you again.
Okay. Going down the order, it's not really. So I think Daniel Ricciardo proving that he's a very quick driver. I think that his move next year to McLaren is going to put them, I think, in the mix with Red Bull and possibly Mercedes, because we saw from the last Grand Prix before this that, yes, Mercedes were fastest in the second and the third sector, but the first sector, where it was all corners and your straight line speed didn't really matter, McLaren were dominating. And they've shown that the car is quick, it's easy to drive, and I think that once they, maybe with like forklifts and crowbars, get that Mercedes engine in there,
just stuff it in there.
Get it in. That will be a very, very, very quick package.
It will be. Now, we had Daniel Kvyat in 4th, and Charles Leclerc, who you had actually winning this Grand Prix, in 5th.
I did. Charles Leclerc proving that the Ferrari isn't that bad, but the fact that Charles Leclerc has a lot of talent, because if you watch some of his onboard from this race, he's working. When you see
hard.
If you compare them going through a corner, Lewis Hamilton does this, the car goes around the corner, he does that. Charles Leclerc is doing this.
Yeah, it's
just
very
trying to keep the damn thing on the track. A lot of people don't think, well, why is Charles Leclerc so sweaty after the race? He's fucking working. Sergio Perez proving that really he should have the Racing Point drive next year. And then Carlos Sainz Jr. and Lando Norris, 7th and 8th. Not really much of a showing from McLaren, but showing that those two are very closely matched.
Well, and then the two Alphas, 9th and 10th, eh?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Yeah. Nicholas Latifi, 11th. Nicholas Latifi is proving that he is better. I think he deserves a spot on the grid. Do I think there's other people that could go in that seat and be better than him? Yes, but at the end of the day, the money he brings to the team is what matters. I can kind of understand that from Williams' standpoint, that's more important. Sebastian Vettel, dear mother of God, what?
Well, let's skip right down to the bottom where Pierre Gasly is, because he was right up there.
Yeah.
Basically till 5 laps to go, and then he...
clutch problem.
Yeah, he chundered it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I can kind of understand that from AlphaTauri's point of view, because I think, one, Pierre Gasly is proving that he's worthy of a seat somewhere else. And I think he will be an interesting driver at the end of this year, maybe next year, depending on how the team feels. But I can kind of understand if they see something they don't like this happens to every racing driver. They saw something that they didn't like in the clutch, and if you ruin a clutch, it sends all the bad stuff through the gearbox.
Bye-bye.
The engine. and it's a five. They haven't got that many engines. It's a 5-place grid penalty if you have to change a gearbox, and a 5-place grid penalty if you have to change an engine. So I think an engineer went, "Oh, let's bring the car in,
pull him off."
Person above him, Esteban Ocon. He's just been utterly brutalised by Daniel Ricciardo this year.
Well, and he's not really had the best of luck with his car.
No,
to be honest.
The two people there, I think you may see a swap. Not a swap. I think that Renault will get sick of Esteban Ocon and go.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think they want Pierre. Pierre has proven that he's a race winner. He's proven that he's quick, and he's a hot commodity at the moment. And I think he wants out of the Red Bull driver thing because they've made it very clear that they're not going to promote him to the faster car, even though he's doing very well for himself. So the Frenchman working for the French team makes a bit of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kevin Magnussen, I mean, he hasn't got a job next year. What do we care? Max Verstappen did a backwards.
Yeah, and then George Russell wasn't doing too bad either in this one. And then
He wasn't doing too bad. He did one of those things that I think would catch any driver out. Effectively, he was stuck behind the safety car doing burnouts to make sure that the car stayed warm. Went over a bump that he couldn't even feel was there, and the car just went, "This wall looks nice."
Yeah.
And
basically, I
want
to be in that.
Yeah. The engineers said after the race, as soon as he was in the throttle, the car was gone. He was expecting it to do a wheel spin, and it went, "Ooh, grip."
Boy. Shame, really. You mentioned Magnussen without a job, and the big boss at Haas actually came out over the course of this week and talked a bit about rookies and the pros and cons to having rookies. And in particular was basically saying that they're like, we don't need to do what other teams have done. They've done a few things differently already, and they want to kind of keep going down that path. So, they're weighing the pros and cons of having two potential rookies. The pros there, is Gunther Steiner was saying that like the pros basically that you can guide these youngsters in whatever direction you want, and that they'll grow with the team, which may effectively help elevate the team in the long term. But of course, the risks there is like, you don't have anybody with experience, so your data's a bit skewed on what's going on in the car, and if anything goes wrong, then you don't really have anything to compare, right?
Yeah, you've never driven a Formula One car before, so you don't actually know what you're getting. I think there's a couple of people out there that I can see going to Haas. I think maybe an Alex Albon and Nico Hülkenberg would be good for them. A driver that's got a bit of potential but has been in a car that isn't right for him, and a guy that's basically been humbled by the sport. I think the thing that Haas don't want to do is they have had 5 years of Kevin Magnussen and Robin Grosjean, who are two drivers that walked in with egos, turning around and bitching and moaning about the car, bitching and moaning about this and that. I mean, Kevin Magnussen broke the team boss's door at one point during Drive to Survive. I think I think they just want two drivers that have a reasonable amount of professionalism about them.
And I would throw Perez into that as well.
Yeah, Perez would be a good one as well. I think they just want two drivers that just get in the car, drive it.
Yeah.
I think the rookies would be good for them, but I can understand that two guys that have never been in Formula One, they haven't kind of got a datum point to work from. Now, is that a problem? Yes. I think they will go for a rookie and someone a bit more experienced. But the problem is that all the guys that you're going to pick up on, that are experienced are probably going to be people that have been beaten by their teammates so much. So, the experienced people on the field at the moment, Esteban Ocon, well, he's just proven he's not faster than his teammate. who knows what's going to go on with Alex Albon's confidence after what Red Bull have done this year? Because I don't think there's a problem with Alex Albon as a driver. I think there's problems with designing a car. I think Red Bull have realised, wow, we've made our car perfect for Max Verstappen, but anyone else gets in it and it's nowhere.
I'd love to see, it's a bit of an awful thing to say, but it's almost a shame that Albon hasn't had to take a week off and have had somebody else had to sub in for him, perhaps. Like a Nico Hulkenberg.
It leads to a point which next year we'll move on to our next topic as well, because we're actually going to talk about Red Bull. But next year for Red Bull could be very embarrassing.
Right, because Honda's obviously backing out, and there's a pitch now from Red Bull to try and buy the factory where the engines are developed from Honda. But what you were saying before we went live is that if it's not ironed out by 2022, you were saying that Red Bull might be forced to pull out.
End of 2021. Effectively,
so next season.
Yeah, Red Bull. So the situation is that obviously Honda have pulled out. Now, when we say Honda have pulled out, it doesn't mean that there's a department in the big Honda factory in Japan that is the Formula One department. They have a separate factory, partially based in the UK, partially based in Japan, that has the intellectual property and the equipment required to make these engines. Because when you make an engine, you're not just talking about making an engine, because Red Bull have got machines. They could make an engine, they can make a block, they can make all that kind of stuff. It's the testing equipment, it's the people that have got the kind of mental potential and all that kind of stuff to be able to make these engines. It's the people which are more important than the equipment and all this kind of stuff. And you're talking about a 50-60 million pound factory before you staff it. Now, Red Bull have turned around and said, we're talking to Honda about buying the factory and buying the people so that we can develop an engine. We can keep making engines for the rest of this year in 2021, but we can also take the engine that they'd already started developing, finish it off for 2022. But I think they can't financially justify developing an engine further than that. So they'll be able to develop it for 2022. But after that, they can't do it. Right. Teams like Renault and Mercedes and Ferrari can justify it because the money isn't all coming from Formula One. So when you look at Mercedes, the technology that's in Mercedes' Formula One engines was used as a development platform, and they now use that for their road cars. Same as Ferrari, same as Renault. So some of the development budget goes to those engines for the road cars as well as the race cars, so you can justify it. But what Red Bull have effectively said is if everyone doesn't agree to freeze their engines after 2022, so there'd be an engine. So from 2022 to 2026, no one would be able to change the engines. Then they're going to pull out. They're going to leave at the end of 2021.
And that's pull out of F1 entirely, which would mean 4 grid spots because of AlphaTauri as well.
Mm-hmm. Which is a problem for Formula One, because I don't think they'd be able to refill.
Yeah, that would be a massive loss. That would mean you'd be down to 16 cars on the grid effectively, unless you were able to somehow find another team. I mean, I keep sitting here and saying that this would be a great opportunity for a company that used to be in F1 to come back, but it's so expensive that I don't, it's very difficult for somebody to justify it. But like a company like Ford, perhaps, I think this would be an opportunity. But
the difficult thing is that if you're looking at it from a financial standpoint,
right,
all the teams in Formula One have got together now and said that you can't say that you're going to enter a Formula One team until you've put up £240 million and gone, this is our Formula One budget. Because the problem is there was loads of, every 5 minutes you'd have Jaguar going, we might start a Formula One team, because they got loads of press for it.
Right.
And then they basically do nothing with it. So all the teams got fed up of that. So they went, unless you're going to put up the collateral to say, we're going to start a Formula One team, don't. So for anyone looking to get into the sport, you're going to have to put up £280 million, which, covers a lot of the development, buying a team, all this kind of stuff, and developing a car. But then you're probably going to have to want to make it competitive. So that's probably that's another £100 million, at least.
You're probably looking at about a £500 million investment from beginning to driving driving the first race.
Yeah, you're developing something with an internal combustion engine, which, yes, internal combustion engines are going to be around for the next 20, 50 years at least. I don't see them going, because there's now synthetic fuels and stuff like that. But it's that, or what everyone wants to see from you at the moment is that you're developing electric power. Formula E, you'll get on the grid for 50 million easily.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, there's very restricted development in that class. I mean, next year it's full. You can develop whatever you want. But £50 million and you're on the grid?
It's just so quiet.
Yeah.
Formula E. It's just like...
Yeah. Yes, Jared's impression of a Formula One race is now going to be my ringtone.
No, Formula E. That's the
Yeah, but the thing is that Formula E put a race on in the middle of London.
It's like a bunch of really, really fast Priuses.
Yeah. But the thing is if you look down the Formula E grid, you've got Jaguar, you've got Porsche. All of the manufacturers are going, oh, that's where we want to be, because financially it doesn't really bother them too much.
Right. We look good. It doesn't cost us a whole lot, and we can invest in developing electric road car engines in the same breath.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's save the Bahrain discussion for next week, because that Grand Prix is not till next week.
Shall I just list the teams that are currently in Formula E?
I mean, sure, if you'd like.
Mercedes, Porsche, Audi, Jaguar, Nissan, BMW, Citroen, NIO, who are an electric supercar manufacturer, and Mahindra, which is an Indian car manufacturer.
I'm surprised Tesla hasn't got in there yet.
Well, yeah, but Elon Musk likes to have elaborate dick measuring contests all the time.
I guess so, but wouldn't this be a primary one? Like, you develop.
Did you not hear what happened at the Nürburgring?
No.
Shall I tell you what happened at the Nürburgring, or is that getting too off subject?
No, you do that quickly.
So, Porsche came out with, so Tesla make a executive saloon, 4 doors and a boot. Executive saloon, comparable to a BMW. Now, for a while, no one made another one. They made the fastest electric saloon. Porsche came out with the Taycan, and sent it around the Nürburgring and went, "We've got the fastest electric suburban around the Nürburgring." And Tesla went, "No, you haven't." And Porsche replied in brutal fashion and went, "Prove it." Nice. To which Elon sent a team to the Nürburgring and said, "Send our car with the best driver you can find, the guy who won the Nürburgring 24-hour the last year before, put him in it," and sent him out. They actually had 5 Teslas there because he would do 4 laps and the batteries would be depleted, but they didn't want to reduce his time on track, so they basically then put him in the next one. They were there for 2 weeks and it wouldn't do it. So they basically took the motors from their new supercar, bolted it into the new Tesla.
Oh my God.
And then called up a bunch of GT3 LMP mechanics and went, "Give this thing aero." So this Tesla sprouted a splitter, carbon fiber body panels, a rear wing that would have made most F1 cars jealous, and spontaneously it did a faster lap time.
Whoa! Who wants to drive that car on the road now?
Which Porsche went, kind of cheating, mate. To which Elon went, no, we're going to release it. So he's now going to release this thing.
Oh my God.
Is a car that's meant for businessmen to drive to meetings. It has a massive wing, a front splitter, and will do 250 miles an hour.
Can you imagine this pulling up to like the financial district in downtown London, and just some Jeremy Clarkson looking man gets out of it and going, "I'm a businessman."
My favorite part about the whole story is that Porsche went out and they released the Taycan and went, it's the fastest. To which Tesla went, oh, we'll try it. Oh, we didn't win. Right, let's cheat effectively. Let's give it all the bells and whistles. Let's make it a race car and go, we won!
Yeah, we did it.
And everyone goes, no, you haven't, Tesla. And Elon Musk goes, yes, we have.
We're businessmen.
We've won.
Right. Let's do the NFL now, because we'll save our other two topics. I mean, the other topic I don't even think deserves the time of day, because there's a piece on ESPN going, is Lewis Hamilton leaving F1? I'm like, what? No, he isn't. Well, sorry.
Do you want me to make my points again before we move on?
Yeah, just go ahead. Might as well.
One, he's got a contract.
2,
he's got a contract.
And he's the best driver in history.
And 3, next year, no one can change their cars. So his only real threat is Max Verstappen in a Red Bull that basically wants to turn itself and go backwards every now and again.
Yeah.
And maybe McLaren. Now, yes, the threat of Daniel Ricciardo in a fast car with a Mercedes engine, that give me the heebie-jeebies too. But he's basically, he's got a pretty good shot at another championship, which means he would be the only person to win 8. I'd do it for 20 million.
I'd do it for lots of dollars.
I'd do it for a $5, to be honest.
I mean, I think I'd want a bit more than a $5 afterwards, perhaps.
Oh, mate, I'd get sponsorship and everything after that.
Yeah. Okay, the NFL, right? Should we go through quickly? There's not really any games that we need to talk about. I mean, obviously there's something wrong with the Packers, though, because they lost to the Vikings. 28-22. You lost to the Vikings.
Do you know what? There's a guy at my work who probably doesn't watch this podcast because he asked me twice to send it to him and I haven't. He supports the Packers.
Good job.
And do you know what the first thing I did Monday morning was?
Rub it in his face.
I laughed so hard it hurt. But I had picked the Packers, so...
I mean, I think we both did, like, for obvious reasons. And you see, what happened is that the 49ers yesterday got pissed off Aaron Rodgers again. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it didn't go well for Jimmy.
No, the next game needs addressing.
Yeah, the Bungles.
What in the happened?
I don't know.
Happened.
The Bungles unbungled themselves.
But the thing is, it completely ruins my perspective of what team is good and what team's bad.
I know.
Because I thought the Browns were... I was a bit like, Browns aren't that great. They're a good team. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to have a winning season and they're in a shot for the wild card slot. But I thought their predicted game in the wild card slot is against the Titans, at which I thought, well, the Browns are going to make it to the playoffs. Well done. But then they're going to play the Titans and the Titans are going to destroy them. But how did they do this?
I think Joe Burrow is maybe starting to figure it out a little.
Is he maybe possibly a good quarterback?
Maybe.
But I mean, he didn't have a blow-away game. He went 26
but he didn't
250 yards.
But he didn't throw an interception.
No. Whereas Ryan Tannehill went 2 for 233. Okay, pretty good game. And threw an interception. I don't understand where the loss came here, because Derrick Henry still ran for 112 yards, which I mean, for him's an off day. But
And Corey Davies had 128 yards receiving. I mean, I think that was maybe the problem, is that the Bungles finally figured out, oh, you're only throwing to this one guy. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll cover him a bunch and the rest of them don't matter.
yeah. I mean, that was the surprise of the week to me.
Yeah.
The Packers and the Vikings. The Vikings have always had an ability to turn it on against. The Vikings have always had an ability to turn it on against the Packers. I don't know where it comes from, but I think maybe.
I think this is going to be a rough week for me.
Yeah.
We both picked the Chiefs, though.
Yeah.
I mean, fairly obviously, the Jets didn't even break the double-digit mark in points. I'm surprised they even got 9 against the Chiefs, if I'm honest.
They did that thing again where they just basically get within 30 yards and kick a field goal.
Yeah, and they go,
they know that they don't have the ability to get in the end zone, so they just kick field goals, which when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes, not going to happen.
The Colts destroyed the Lions. 41-21, and I picked the Lions.
Not there.
I mean, Phillip Rivers was consistent for the first time in a while. But, I mean, Matt Stafford had 336 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. So, obviously, the defense was not helpful because they let 20 points in the second quarter and 21 points in the fourth. So
you can't do much as an offense when that's what happens.
Nope.
The Ravens lost to the Steelers, which I think was... It's difficult because I think those two teams are going to be the 1 and 2 seed in their in their entire division. But the Steelers have just got an utter buzzsaw of a defense. I mean,
apparently, yeah. Like I'm honestly not really sure where this came from, but like the Steelers are a powerhouse this year, and like they've always been good. They're always good with Big Ben, but like this is a new level again.
The Dolphins beat the Rams. I mean,
I picked the Rams. 28-17. I mean, it was close-ish. Do you want to talk about the next one?
No, I don't. I don't at all.
Shall I just get it out of the way then?
Yeah.
Well, the Bills beat the Patriots 24-21.
First time.
And I picked the Bills.
Yeah. Do you know what, Jerry? I'm going to admit something here. I don't know if you can read my handwriting, but what does that say there?
It does say Bills. I knew it because you were like, I'm not going to say who I picked for this game last week.
I don't want to admit it, but I think the problem is that Bill Belichick has just put this team in a position where I don't know what his plan is. Yet we've got draft picks at the end of the year. Now we're not a talented team. We're not a young team. We've got a couple of players of note which he seems to want to trade.
Does he want to trade Cam Newton? Because
no, he wants to trade Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, good.
Who is our star cornerback?
Good. That's what you want.
This is what I didn't understand. We had Malcolm Butler, who made one of the best plays that I've ever seen, who has now gone on to play in other teams and been really good. You could have had him and, Stephon, and those would have been really good. There were multiple wide receivers. This was a situation that could have been avoided. We could have been a talented team. But
it's kind of obvious that he didn't really prepare for a post Brady era. And I almost wonder if Bill Belichick was kind of blindsided by Brady leaving, because I feel like Belichick was internally planning to retire the same year that Brady did, and he just kind of figured that it was just going to be with the Patriots. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know.
I think this is the one thing that this season is proving is that it's just making Bill look bad, because the whole argument has always been, who is this, who's been the reason that the Patriots have been doing so well. And every single game that goes by, it's proven more and more that it was Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Bill had brought Cam in, and we'd have been, 4-2 or something like that, even 5-2, even if we'd lost a couple of games because he's adapting to a new quarterback. But Jared, we're 2-5.
Yeah.
And I don't see it turning around. I just don't. As a Patriots fan, that hurts because I think that I hate you so much. Anyway, Browns Raiders. I think I need to send us. I watched this game. The refs need a Specsavers voucher. They just do. They need a Specsavers. It's a glasses company in the UK.
Oh.
Because I don't think they understand what a catch is on either side of the ball.
Well, we had this discussion like over a month ago about how I don't understand why it's so difficult.
Well, there were two
in the NFL to figure out what a catch is.
Yeah, I'll be impartial here. There was the first catch that I went, okay, well, you've got away with that. Was a player caught the ball, stepped 1 foot in bounds, and then his other foot touched the white line. Like if you were calling a proportion of his foot, I would say that the nail of his pinky toe was over the white line. No, not a touchdown. To which I went, you've kind of robbed him there, but fair enough. The next one, which I didn't understand how the procedure here was, so Jarvis Landry runs, catches the touchdown, and his knees hit before the goal line. So his knees hit down, and then he reaches across and puts it in the end zone.
Right.
Which would go, okay, well, he ended up in the end zone.
Yes, but he's down.
And it was marginally close, and I went, okay, fair enough. But they didn't review it instantly. They called it a touchdown. The Browns kicked it. So they kicked the field goal, got the 3 points, marched off the field, got ready for the kickoff, and then they went, actually, no, we're reviewing it. And then they took it away. But the problem is that if you'd have done that play and said, no, Jarvis didn't make a touchdown, the Browns would have had 2nd and 10 on the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Which they would have put in for a touchdown, and then they would have kicked that. But it was this, well, it wasn't even, we're reviewing it. Actually, no, that wasn't a touchdown. The ball should have been spotted here. They didn't turn around and go, no, bring your offense back on the field because technically it's 2nd and 10 and you're on the 1 yard line. They just went, no, let's continue on with the game. Which didn't make sense at all. I think this was just a game where neither offense...
I'm sorry, but that's just an absolute breakdown of procedure. Standard procedure. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, that just... I to be honest, this was just the good game. I don't think the Browns should be crying themselves to sleep over losing, because this was a team that's, the Raiders are inconsistent. They've managed to beat the Chiefs, and they didn't get embarrassed. It was 6-16 with Derek Carr. I think honestly, you play this game again 3 times. I think you'd get a win from the Browns in a tie. They were so close. I mean.
Probably. The Broncos beat the Chargers by 1 point. What's amazing is that I think this was the biggest... So the Chargers are the first team in NFL history to blow a lead of 16 or more points in 4 straight games. It's good, eh?
Yeah, let's just move on because I don't want to get let off on that particular subject. The
Saints won in overtime. Hooray. That's a point for me. Whatever.
The Seahawks beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson did Russell Wilson things.
He's good at that.
Someone should show Bill Belichick this offense and go, this is what happens. Because, yes, they've got a quarterback. But they've also got a fairly good run game.
Yeah.
And a receiving core that is not made up of completely... There is no one on the Patriots receiving core right now that was drafted.
Whoa.
No one. None of them were drafted. Julian Edelman is currently not in that run because he's injured. There is no one on our receiving corps that was drafted. They were all undrafted free agents. There's your problem.
Yeah, and DK Metcalf is pretty good. Also, I think Jimmy G is hurt again. If I remember correctly, he did not play much of this game for the 49ers.
No, he played a bit.
Yeah.
He threw an interception. No.
Yeah, and he didn't play on Thursday against the Packers. So I think Jimmy G's hurt again.
Yeah.
Which is not good for them. The Eagles demolished the Cowboys 23-9.
Which is kind of going to happen when you haven't got your starting quarterback. But I mean,
you don't have anything.
No, this is a beneficial thing. Not why his team losing isn't always beneficial for Dak Prescott, but when he's not playing and they're losing, that's beneficial for him because that means that he can sit in contract talks and go, "This is why you need me." I apologize, my light's going nuts. It seems that someone's decided that they need to do an entire display just outside my window. This same explosion's been going on for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just stopped.
There you go.
No, it's going.
And we'll carry on then with the Bucks and the Giants. The Giants were very close to winning this game. If they had only not allowed Tampa Bay to put up 10 points in the fourth quarter, they would have won.
That's what Tom Brady for. Also, can we just say those two interceptions aren't really Daniel Jones's fault?
No, they really weren't.
Because there's certain memes of this game where you see the offensive line turn around and watching all four rushers come at him in the backfield.
It's just, whoa.
Just, where's my offensive line?
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the best quote of the week was when he was asked, "Oh, you've got a player injured on your offensive line. What's that going to matter?" And he went, "Nothing. They don't block for me anyway." Oh no, a different guy is not going to stop someone screaming through.
Roasted.
And
then the pissed off Aaron Rodgers just destroyed the Jimmy-less 49ers. It wasn't pretty. And unfortunately, I picked the 49ers in both of their games, so I just look a fool. But partially due to the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo did not play again.
Do we want to do the scores, or do we want to just quietly not?
Well, I think it was worse for me. I was 6 for 14, so I got less than 50%. So no passing grade for me, folks.
I got 6 for 14 as well.
Woohoo! Was a rough week. Better luck next week for the both of us.
That is truly dire.
That is tragic. Let's jump right into the next games. And the first one is the Texans and the Jags.
Texans.
Yeah, I think we can both agree on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Not much to say about it. The Giants versus the Washington W's. I'll go for Washington.
I'll go for the Giants.
Okay. Interesting. You think they're feeling good about almost beating the Bucks, eh?
I mean, I think Daniel Jones, he might have called the cheerleaders and gone, "Hey, can you stand in front of these defensive linemen? Because I think they're probably
you'll do a better job blocking."
Yeah. Just stand there, lift your top, and I'll get more of a delay than I would from my offensive line.
Oh my God.
Good game. Watch that game.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, jeez. The Ravens and the Colts.
Fair.
He can't do those things. Oh my God. The Ravens are going to win.
You didn't even say the name of the other team. You just said the Ravens are going to win.
Well, they're playing the Colts, so they're going to win. Who do you want for this one?
I'm going to go with the Vikings. I mean, I think they're going to feel good about beating the Packers somehow.
I can't bring myself to split on this one because the Lions are just so bad. So
Yep.
I'm gonna go with the Vikings.
Okay.
And then the Bears and the Titans. It's got to be the Titans, I guess. Or are you worried about what happened to them last week?
I think they're going to have a long week. I mean, imagine having to walk in to any meeting in that team. I think only the kicker's going to be okay. And having a conversation where you lost to the Bungles.
Yeah. It's a bit...
Like, if I'm honest, I went into that game, I think I told you a couple of times this week that, like, if you're a defense and there's ever a week that's going to keep you up at night, it's the week that you're the worst team in your division and you have to play Derrick Henry. Because, I mean, that's effective. I mean, that's Tiger Woods on a putting green. I mean, it's, I just expected him to destroy them. I would have tried to see if I could do it backwards. Run to my end zone and then come back the other way just to try and see if I can. Derrick Henry has some reason the Titans are on the 50-yard line, but Derrick Henry is lined up on the 1-yard line.
Jackpot.
Just so he could get the 100 yards rushing.
Right? He just huts the ball and turns around and goes, "Okay, go.
Bye."
The Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Bills and Seahawks. This might actually be a good game. I'm going to have to go for the Seahawks, though. Because I really think that Russell is on a run. Russell Wilson is on a really good hot streak right now, and so
he's got the weapons around him that he needs.
It's difficult to go against them.
Mm-hmm.
Broncos.
Yeah.
Yes, because the Atlanta Falcons are incapable of holding a lead.
I'm going to go for the Falcons.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos also just had a massive comeback win against the Chargers.
Yes, but who is the quarterback for the Broncos? Oh, it's Drew Lock. Okay. Actually, no, I don't hate him. I thought it was the old quarterback for the Raiders, and I didn't like him. You know that about me?
Yes, I do. Speaking of the Raiders, they're playing the Chargers. And I've got to go for the Raiders in that one.
Have you?
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers just got embarrassed for the 4th straight game. Also, I guess we can touch on the Raiders getting fined again because John Gruden's doing dumb things.
Yeah, because he's John Gruden.
And they've been handling their COVID cases improperly.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been fined a 6th-round draft pick and more money.
Yeah, my kind of perspective is that if you can't handle your draft pick correctly, then, your COVID correctly, then you should forfeit the game. Yeah. And the other team should win. Because then you can't really turn around and go, I don't understand how we lost. You didn't handle your COVID properly. Your team had the possibility of being completely infected with COVID. The other team turned up. The other team were there. You're not allowed to play, so you lose.
And this is my problem with the NFL as well, is that there's so many COVID cases that are coming up every week that are just not being discussed in the national eye. They're all being reported locally. It's like so-and-so on the Raiders has COVID. But, like, I'm sorry, if a player tests positive for COVID, there's a possibility that the rest of the team has it. And we're just ignoring that and playing games as if there's nothing wrong because, we can isolate this player and everybody will be fine. No, he's been interacting with the rest of the team the whole time. So, it's not going to stop these COVID cases popping up all throughout the league. It's not going to stop until you stop the whole team from interacting for a period of time. But that's not going to happen because the NFL, I think, as a whole, isn't handling COVID well and should forfeit their own 6th-round draft pick. This is a little rant for you.
So the entirety of the NFL just doesn't have a 6th round. Just get rid of the 6th round.
Yeah.
So we just basically go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
7.
Okay. I've gone with the Cardinals next.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Up the Steelers.
Yep.
Because
it's the Cowboys. What do you want?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for the Bucks next.
Normally, I would like to go against you, but the other person is Drew Brees, and you know how I feel about him.
Yeah, and the Saints kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like they're one of those teams that like I just lost the word. They like secretly suck, but it's not lovely. It's not a secret, right? Like they're in the closet.
Yeah.
That they suck, right?
The problem is that they're good enough that their fans don't get annoyed about it.
Right.
But they're also paying Drew Brees way too much money, and he's held as the next, the greatest person ever, greatest quarterback, da 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 da. But he's not as good at throwing the ball as Aaron Rodgers, and he's not as good as I think a lot of people are going to agree. Tom Brady hasn't always been the best person throwing the football, but
he's the most consistent quarterback in football history.
Yeah, he's also, it's like having an offensive coordinator out there on the field. He's been playing it for so long that a defense comes out and does that, and he goes, "I know what you're doing, and I know what weapons I have to throw." He's just got an arm good enough
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Saints are paying him way too much money. I think if they reduced his contract by £20 million a year, then they'd be able to give him some decent teammates. And then the next game is the Jets and the Patriots. And I'm going to pick my Patriots because if they lose to the Jets, I'm not doing a podcast next week.
Oh, it's going to be that bad, eh? I mean, I would understand.
Yeah.
The Jets are vying for an 0-16 season, and if the Patriots are the one team that they beat,
yeah.
it'd be a rough time. And then I'll go Titans over the Colts.
I mean, yeah, that's an easy one in reality, isn't it? It makes sense.
It is. I was actually going to do that rant about the COVID issues with the NFL at the end, but we just sort of brought that out.
Go on for it. Go for it.
Well, no, we kind of did it already. That was basically it. Just like, it's just really disappointing how, like, we're all out here in the public expected to not see our families and not interact with people on Thanksgiving and stuff like that. Yeah. Meanwhile, all these NFL players are testing positive for COVID and nobody's talking about it.
I put my hand up on my own podcast. I don't know why I'm doing that. Can I raise a point?
Yeah.
And I want to know your opinion on this. So the UK, as many people know, we weren't in control of our COVID because it just wasn't happening. So we're going into another lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of gyms, especially around the Stevenage area, not the gym I go to, they've been very smart about it, have decided that they're going to protest and stay open.
Have fun getting sued.
Well, yeah, one this morning.
Like, you're already losing money. Why do you want to lose more?
Yeah. They've turned around and gone, "Oh, gyms are essential, da 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 da." Well, and they've gone, "Well, Boots is open." Boots is a pharmacist.
Yeah.
I understand that people want to go to the gym, and I'm an avid gym goer. And if it was up to me, I'd happily still go to the gym. But I understand that sacrifices need to be made, and me not getting a workout in 3 times a week, that's okay.
You can also do your own thing.
Yeah. And I get it. I get that this is some people's livelihood and all this kind of stuff, and I understand that. But it's not about you. And it's, okay, you're going to have to close the gym for 4 weeks, probably more. But staying open isn't going to help. And this whole, we're going to protest and stay open, it just makes you look like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah,
because the places that are staying open are the places that are essential to life. I mean, everywhere's cut back. The fish store I went to this morning effectively turned around to me and went, "You can browse, but if you don't, if you're not here to buy something, we can't allow you to stay. You have to basically be looking around in the function to buy something. And they limited the amount of people in store and all this kind of stuff. And I actually got a message from the owner going, hey, look, we know that you've said you're going to come in and buy fish this weekend, but, can you come earlier or later? We'll open later, so there's less people in at a time. And they are, if they close their doors, people's pets will die because they don't provide for fish. They provide for, sheep and dogs and all that kind of stuff. And that I get. Yeah, that I get. And a lot of the stores closed off. You can't go everywhere. Yes, you can buy fish, but it's kind of a situation of you walk up and go, that's what I want, that's what I want, that's what I want. The guy goes, here's your bag, go.
Right.
And
I would also argue that a pet store is more of an essential service than a gym.
Yeah. But all these people that are saying that the gyms need to be open, I'm sorry you don't. And they said, well, they can't close us all. One, yes, they can. And two, there was a gym this morning that decided to stay open, and it was on the news. The owner decided, I'm going to stay open. He was issued a £10,000 fine, and for every single one of his members in, he had 4 members in, they each issued a £1,000 fine. Now, the first thing is that me as a gym goer, if my gym turned around to me and went, hey, Gavin, do you want to come in tomorrow? I'm going to turn around and go, no, I'm a healthcare worker. It's COVID. No, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, my PC just went with running low on battery.
That's a very nice sound for saying I'm about to die.
Yeah. So if my gym turned around and went, yeah, we're still open, I'd go, 1, I'm not coming in. And 2, if I did turn up and then the police officer told me that I got £1,000 fine, I'm going to turn around to the gym and go, you told me you would. Pay that. Yeah. You're going to pay this for me. And the worst thing you can do in a situation where you're financially struggling is put yourself in a position where you've got the potential to lose more money.
Yeah.
I think there's just absolutely no need. You're making yourself look like a bunch of petulant children because, everyone's making sacrifices in this situation. Today, when we went and saw Belle's parents, I sat in the car for the entirety of the visit because Belle's allowed to go because it's a support bubble, but I'm not because that's 2 households meeting. So I sat in the car for half an hour. Everyone's making sacrifices. Don't make it your God-given, don't turn around and go, we don't want to close because we think we're essential. If the government's decided you're not essential, I'm sorry, you're not essential.
Right. Now, I will say this. With your specific situation, I mean, Belle's just interacted with you.
Yeah.
And then gone in. I think you would be all right.
Yeah, she didn't go in the house, though.
Oh, no. Okay.
So she stayed 6 foot away from her parents and, put stuff on the doorstep. We didn't actually go in.
Gotcha.
But to prevent even further contact, I stayed in the car and we alcohol gelled and masks and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just something that's irked me. All these people that are gym, I'm a gym goer. All these people that are on my social media that are gym people, the 2 gyms that I've gone to in the past have both turned around and gone, we're shut.
Yeah.
We're shut. I mean, the other gym I used to go to that I won't name has stayed open, but for 4 people.
At a time?
No, not even at a time. There is the guy that owns the place. There's a physiotherapist. And there's 2 professional fighters that have got fights booked in the next 6 months. One of which
and I would say if you're going to the gym for physiotherapy, that's different.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. I'm doing physio right now for my back.
Yeah.
And that is an essential service.
Mm-hmm.
So if the gym's open for an essential service like physiotherapy, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was my hill that I wanted to particularly stand on, was that you aren't making yourselves look clever at all. You're basically
you're just adding to the noise of the world right now.
You're making yourself look like a massive bunch of muscle-bound dingleberries that don't get that it's not about you. Because if you're someone that goes into a gym and you work out and you look after yourself, in reality, COVID isn't going to be too bad on you.
Right.
But if you go from the gym and then see your grandmother in a care home, as someone that's personally gone into care homes quite a lot over the past couple of months, they're being decimated. And it's not okay. So
And
that's my...
that's all over the world.
Yeah, that's hill. I've stood on it. I'll shut up now.
No, it's a valid hill to stand on and a valid hill to die on, I would say. I'll say in Ontario, they've lifted a bit of restrictions again, to the dismay of some healthcare professionals, because cases are still in the high hundreds a day, close to thousands. But it is mostly concentrated in the Toronto and Ottawa areas. You know, and I would say that, I mean, just like interact with less people if you're in a big city.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really think it's that difficult. And unfortunately, you know, it's different if you live out in the country or if you live in a smaller city. I think it's you know, you can be a bit more open, like business wise. But in these big cities, there's a lot of people, and you have to, unfortunately, make a few more sacrifices that others who aren't living in the same size of city may need to take. So, you know, I don't really know how else to say it other than like just be conscious of what you're doing and remember that it's not all about you. On the flip side, the Burlington Barracudas are going to get to play games as of November 7th tomorrow. So we're happy about that. You know, we'll be able to play a few games based on bubbling and things like that. So excited for that. Excited for many things that are coming. Do you have anything we don't have a game, do we?
No, we had a conversation about this where you said that you'd prepare the game for this week.
No, I said that I would be making a graphic for the podcasts for the week, which I didn't do. So neither of us have done our jobs.
So I'll prepare a game for next week.
And I will actually
tell you the game because I'm thinking of some better ways to do it in my head.
Okay.
But do you need to come up with a graphic?
Yes. And I know what I want to do.
I will make the Instagram as well because I meant to do
that. So we'll wish better luck next week to us for doing our jobs.
Yeah.
And all the losers from this weekend at the NFL and all such other things.
Yeah.
You hanging your head in shame.
Yeah, because I got up, I did what I normally do, which is the thing that ruins me most times, which is I got up on a hill and I went, I'm going to make Jared look completely foolish here. And as I did that, I got a notification on Instagram and I went, oh,
we love that. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.